Hello, and welcome to the Dallas Songwriters Association Songwriter Spotlight. I'm Barbe McMillen, and we've got a special show. Tonight, our spotlight is on Mike P. Ryan. Mike is our second and third place grand prize winner of the 2022 Dallas Songwriters Association International Song Contest for his songs Some Goodbyes, which was also third place in the singer-songwriter category, and Between Heaven and the Ground, which won an honorable mention in the singer-songwriter category. His Southwestern roots and keen eye for detail have made him a favorite among his Texas fans. He has been a finalist at the Kerrville Folk Festival New Folk Competition and the Dallas-based Wildflower Singer-Songwriter Contest. He's performed twice at the Dripping Springs Songwriting Festival and was a semifinalist at the 2021 Dallas Songwriters Association Song Contest. No stranger to success outside of the Lone Star State, he has been a finalist in the Connecticut Folk Festival Songwriting Contest and a winner in the American Songwriter Magazine Lyric Contest. He's won 2 grand prize awards in the Mid-Atlantic Song Contest. Whew, that's a lot, and we are so lucky to have Mike here to perform for us tonight on this spotlight. Please welcome Mike P. Ryan.
Thank you, Barb. Appreciate you guys having me out. My name is Mike P. Ryan, and I was born and raised just down the road from you guys in Oklahoma. So I'm a Oklahoma born and raised, and I'm currently living in Northern Virginia with my wife and son. So I'll start tonight with a tune that I wrote actually when I was out in Dripping Springs, Texas for the Dripping Springs Songwriter Festival. And Dripping Springs Songwriter Festival takes place in a small sort of one-street town just outside of Austin. And this song was originally supposed to be about a small town that was kind of an oil boom town in Texas that was being left behind by progress, but it kind of morphed into a story about a guy that lives there and how he's sort of being left behind as well. It's called Left Behind. And it goes like this. Well, this old town ain't what it used to be, and neither am I. Oil used to flow like water, now the wells have run bone dry. The rigs and pipes are rusted, my old friends are gone. I'm broke down and busted, but I keep hanging on, waiting for the light of day, and hoping for some cosmic karma sign. The turning of the wheel, the whole redemption deal, a prayer to ease the pain of being left behind, left behind, left behind. 2 years ago you packed your car and you said goodbye to me. I tried but couldn't be the man you wanted me to be. Some nights the bourbon talks me into dialing up your phone. I let you say hello, then I let well enough alone, waiting for the light of day, and hoping for some cosmic karma sign. The turning of the wheel, the whole redemption deal, a prayer to ease the pain of being left behind, left behind, left behind. When nightfall spreads across the flatlands and a lonesome quarter moon hangs in the sky, dark, the prairie looks just like the ocean, and I wish that I could drift away on a rising tide. But the south wind pins the tumbleweeds against the barbed wire fence. We're stranded here together, no love, no recompense. Somewhere out there, the lucky ones that chase their dreams each day. The rest of us just bide our time and we try to find our way, waiting for the light of day, hoping for some cosmic karma sign. The turning of the wheel, the whole redemption deal, a prayer to ease the pain of being left behind, a prayer to ease the pain of being left behind. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Which album is that on, Mike?
That is on the album before my most recent one, which is called At Home in the Darkness. And you can find both of those. My newest album, which looks remarkably like this right here, is called Ghosts and Memories. You can find both of those at MikePRyanMusic.com, or you can go to a website that's called Here Now, Mike P. Ryan at HereNow.com, which I'll provide that information that you guys can get. It's also on my website. So yeah, and both of those are available on, and all that stuff's available on Spotify and
Streaming services.
streaming services as well. Yeah.
So you said you're from Oklahoma. What part of Oklahoma?
I am from just outside of Oklahoma City, and lived there till
Tornado
I was.
Alley.
Say again? Yeah, absolutely.
Tornado Alley.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so how'd you get from there to living in Northern Virginia?
Well, I spent a number of years in the Army. I went in the Army when I was in my early 20s, and my last Army assignment was here in the northern. It was at the Pentagon, and so we had bought a house and sort of put down some roots. My wife is a massage therapist, and she has a practice. My son was in school, and we really like our neighborhood and our neighbors and everything. So we ended up just sticking around here. Sort of the plan was for us to stay here till our son graduates from college, and he'll be out of college in 2 more years. And then we're not sure where we're going to go there. Then my wife is from Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
So we're thinking about maybe Florida, but you never know.
Well, you can be down there with Michael Roth. We know a few
That's
people in
right.
Florida. Yeah.
That's right. I know.
So
Michael
thank
Roth.
you so much for your service in the Army, and you were a combat veteran, I read, in Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's pretty intense.
Well, thank you.
Has that experience affected your songwriting?
I think maybe somewhat. I think just sort of living life to the age I'm at. I don't think I could have written the songs that I've written over the past few years as a younger man. So a lot of my stuff is sort of steeped in that life experience. I've had a lot of different types of life experience, and so I think it's helpful. The more you know, and the more you sort of get around the world, I think the more your aperture opens up as far as songwriting goes.
Gratefulness, and then really looking at the details and living every day.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you got next for us? What's the next song?
Let's see. We'll stick with the sort of the southwestern theme. This is a song I wrote a few years ago, and songwriters, everybody always asks if you have a favorite song that you've written, and this is up there with probably my top 2 or 3, if not my favorite. And it's the impetus is sort of that feeling that you get as someone from the part of the country where you guys are and where I grew up, and then you live in a place like this, and oftentimes you feel very, very out of place. And so this is called Someone Like Me. My radio dial is stuck on the Jesus station. Through the late night static will I hear all the talk about salvation. I ain't worried about my eternal destiny, 'cause someone like Jesus ain't got time for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Well, I write you letters in my scratchy old long hand, but they come back unopened, bound in a brown rubber band. I know you got places to go and you've got people to see. And someone like you ain't got time for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Well, summer's gone and the nights are getting cold. These days I swear I feel 1,000,000 years old. And I try to follow the signs along the road, but they're all rusted out, full of buckshot holes and through a dirty windshield from the corner of my eye. I see the milestones and the fence posts go flashing by. Pretend I don't notice, but it ain't no mystery. This world is turning too fast for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Thank you. Thank you. There we go.
There's our audience. They're over on Facebook clapping.
Awesome. That's the weird part about these streaming things is you finish a song and it's like, well, there's just there's silence, you know? So.
Well, I tell you, when did you start songwriting?
I started songwriting, sort of I guess interesting, maybe, hopefully, interesting story, probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I grew up as a guitar player as a young man, like a lot of young men, you know, playing in rock bands and stuff. And then when I went in the military, I put all that aside. And about 10 or 15 years ago, I forget how, but I heard about this Kerrville new folk thing. And I thought to myself, well, I'll enter that. That sounds easy. That sounds like fun. Not knowing it was like the preeminent, you know, songwriting contest for acoustic players. And I'll just enter that, and I'm sure my song will be selected, and that'll be fun. I'll go out to Texas and all that. So I started writing songs, and I was always really heavily influenced by all the Texas songwriters. So you know, Robert ELKIN and Lyle Lovett and Townes Van Zandt and all those guys. And so that was really the style of music I was listening to, especially toward the last years that I was in the Army. And it occurred to me later that I liked it so much because it was really all about where I'd grown up, and all the references and sort of the vibe of that music is really, it's very sort of Texas Southwestern based. And so that started me off. And then because I was used to performing in bands, I thought, well, I'll give this solo acoustic thing a try. And it's sort of, the rest is, I guess, sort of history over the last few years. It's sort of been relatively successful for me. And
so what was it like when you went down to Kerrville to perform? Does anything stand out in your mind?
Yeah, the first time I went, what's a couple of things that stand out. One is I was really new to songwriting and performing my own acoustic songs. And so it was, I still feel like it was some kind of weird fluke that I got into the contest. So I really felt very intimidated by the whole thing. And then, crazy the way coincidences work, but a buddy of mine here that was a guitar player had turned me on to this guy named Drew Kennedy. You guys probably know Drew Kennedy. And he was a finalist the same year, but I had been listening to Drew's music on my iPod at the time and was a big fan of his. And so it was my first sort of brush with somebody that was a kind of an established songwriter. And so it was kind of cool because I got to meet him, and he was also a contestant. And so that's what I remember. I remember being intimidated, and I remember that this is cool. I get to meet Drew Kennedy, who I'm a fan of. So, yeah,
So
and I've been back twice since then. So,
and so when you go, do you do the campfire rounds at night?
yeah, a little bit. I'm not as a lot of people just go back every year, even whether they're in the contest or not. And I've never done that. I was a finalist this past year, and so it was a little less intimidating this year because I was a lot more used to performing. Although I did mess up, nobody will ever know it, but I did mess up the lyrics of one of my songs, like of all places and of all times to do it. It wasn't a bad mistake, but obviously it still bugs me that I did that.
Well, that's one good thing about performing your own songs.
That's true.
Like
yeah.
when you mess up, you can just mess up, and nobody knows, unless they're just a hardcore fan.
That's true. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Okay, so what do you got next for us?
Well, let's see. I'll do the song that did well in the contest this year. This is a tune I wrote. I mentioned, spent a lot of time in the Army, so I would go home and leave home quite a bit. And my mom she was a Depression era kid, and she was probably one of the toughest folks I've ever known. And so she was not really given to displays of emotion, but she would always get a little bit choked up when I had to leave, go back to the Army. And she was a really wise person too, and so she imparted a lot of that wisdom to me, which I tried to sort of build the song around those two ideas. It's called Some Goodbyes. She kissed me on the forehead, wiped a tear out of her eye. We both laughed a little when she said, "Good thing I'm too tough to cry." She said, "I knew you'd be a man one day, but didn't think it'd come so soon. All the years just seemed to drift away like clouds across the moon. And damned if time don't fly like a sparrow on a wing. No use asking why. Change is just the way of things. And I thought I'd be ready, so strong and steady when I had to face this day. But some goodbyes are harder than others to say." She said, "At times you'll be lonely, sad as an orphan child. You can try to kill the pain with whiskey, but you'll just put it to sleep for a while. And one day you'll feel the rush of a woman's soft touch, and you'll taste her caramel apple kiss. You'll swear that she's your forever love, but the first one almost never is. She said, damned if time don't fly like a sparrow on a wing. No use asking why. Change is just the way of things. And I thought I'd be ready, so strong and steady when I had to face this day. But some goodbyes are harder than others to say. You'll see wrongs unrighted and love unrequited and acts of kindness too. You'll lie beneath a million stars and you'll wonder if one burns for you. Or does one burn just for you? Well, she gave me one last long embrace, said this'll always be your home. With a weathered hand she touched my face and said, it's time to let you go. She said, damned if time don't fly like a sparrow on a wing. No use asking why. Change is just the way of things. And I thought I'd be ready, so strong and steady when I had to face this day. But some goodbyes are harder than others. Some goodbyes are harder than others. Some goodbyes are harder than others to say.
Well, I have Roy's comment. Of course, that song was first runner-up grand prize.
Yeah.
And I have Roy's comments. Do you mind if I?
No, not at all.
Okay, so Roy Elkins from Broad Jam was our judge, our grand prize judge, and he commented on all of the songs. And this is what he said about Some Goodbyes. A great hook. We all hear lots of songs about leaving, but this one is different. The singer is a son leaving home and talking about the advice his mother gave him as he was getting ready to go. She tells her son he'll find love with this advice. You'll swear that she's your favorite love, but the first one almost never is. An excellent line. As he's leaving, he sings, we both laughed a little when she said, I'm too tough to cry. This song is filled with so many lines that could be hooks for other songs and is an example of a lyric that is perfectly coupled with the melody. If you read the lyric by itself, it is good. But with the melody, it's fantastic. My guess is that this song was worked on and crafted, as this is certainly done by a writer who has many songs under their belt. Congratulations on the awesome piece of music. And of course, Roy has no idea who the songwriters are when he's listening to them and judging them. And I see you've turned red. A song we hate to be praised and told how good we are and everything, but I just had to read that, and so that's great praise for you, Mike, and that's a wonderful song.
Very grateful.
Really,
Thank
truly
you very much.
is.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It seems to really touch people, and that's that's the best reward for a songwriter is when
Seems like everybody can relate to it on some level.
Yeah, I think so. So.
Okay, what did you got next for us?
Well, since I did a song sort of dedicated to my mom, I'll do one sort of loosely based on my dad's story. My dad and mom, like a lot of folks in their generation, got married really early, and that has its own issues that come with that. And so this is a song about a husband's regrets late in life, and it's called A Better Man. The windmill and the weather vane turn in the evening breeze. The tin roof and the summer rain play a ghost note symphony. The kids are grown, you long since gone. Now I end each quiet day with 3 fingers of something strong and a toast to everything I threw away. If I would have loved you true, well, I never would have treated you that way. I was young and scared inside and running help to hide the fear away. And I hurt you without meaning to, but in the end I hurt you just the same. You deserved a better man, better than the man that I became. I took you to have and hold when we were just 19. Was just a kid who didn't know what a word like forever means. Well, I tried but could not settle down. I ran wild into the night. Morning broke, I'd come back around, and I'd lie about how I could make things right. And if I would have loved you true, well, I never would have treated you that way. Sorry for the things I did and all the things I said and didn't say. And I hurt you without meaning to, but in the end I hurt you just the same. You deserved a better man, better than the man that I became. The water flows beneath the bridge and slowly out to sea. Things that mean so much to us today are tomorrow's faded memories. There's a life we live and learn from, and all that comes behind. Some roads lead us into darkness. Some ties break before they bind. They break before they bind. If I would have loved you true, well, I never would have treated you that way. And hearts and lives aren't black and white, but I lived too long in the shades of gray. And I hurt you without meaning to, but in the end I hurt you just the same. Deserved a better man, better than the man that I became. You deserved a better man, better than the man that I became.
So what's your songwriting process?
Well,
Do you write lyrics first and then melody, or melody
usually
first,
I
or
do. Usually I
hook, or
come up with
title, or-
lyrics. Yeah, usually I'm a lyrics guy, and usually it'll be an idea that I think is probably going to be the hook for the song. There will be times when I might get a line that may sort of, as you know, you're a songwriter yourself. Sometimes a line will just sort of come to you, and but usually it's an idea that I want to explore or a story that I want to tell. I do a lot of sort of story songs, and so I look for a hook that I think I can build the song around. Occasionally it'll be a guitar chord progression that sort of suggests maybe what the song ought to be about. But by and large, the answer is I'm a lyrics guy first.
Mhm. So do you ever change your lyrics because they're too personal, or do you just lay it out as it comes?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I was at a thing actually in Texas a year or two ago, and one of the other songwriters there said, you write all these story songs, and do you have anything that's really personal, that's really about you? And
They're all about you, aren't they?
and yeah, I mean, the answer is they all sort of, by and large, they are, bits and pieces, characters. But I like to think of my songwriting more like a fiction writer. And the joke I always make is I'm too lazy to write fiction. That takes a lot of discipline. So the way I build a song is normally the way that a writer or a movie director would build would tell a story, in the sense that if it's a story song, which a lot of my songs are, there'll be an establishing shot. If it was a movie, there will be you got to develop the characters and tell their story quickly, and then maybe if it fits the song, have some kind of resolution at the end. And another interesting thing is I did this contest called Songwriter Serenade, which is also a Texas-based contest, and two of the judges were kind of well-known songwriters, and both of the songs I did, they loved the songs, but they said, couldn't you have done a happy ending? And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, well, no, that's, life's not always happy endings. And so they're like, you could change this, and you could make it a happy song, like the one I just played, A Better Man, was one of them. And they're like, couldn't this guy have found redemption at the end? And I was waiting for his redemption. And I'm like, well, it's not the way that real life always works. So.
I don't know if that's a Texan thing or not, because I wrote a song, and it was about drug abuse and how bad it was and how horrible it made a person's life. And then I wrote the last verse about the 12-step process.
Yeah.
Going through the 12-step process and
Yeah.
coming out all right. So that may be a Texan thing. We like happy endings. I don't know.
Yeah, I like happy endings too, but I'm also Irish on both sides. So, we're
Oh, lots of drama there.
lots of drama and depression and.
All right. So it looks like you tuned down for a special song.
Well, I tuned up for the last one, so I'm just getting back in. But I can, yes, I can do. I will use my special secret cut capo here. So this is a song that is my lovely wife's current favorite of my whole catalog, and it really seems to touch people as well. They really enjoy it. I read David McCullough's book a few years ago about the Wright brothers, and it was a very interesting story. And as I was reading it, the songwriter in me knew there had to be a song in there. And the fascinating thing about the Wright brothers, who changed history with the first real successfully powered flying machine, was that they weren't really scientists or engineers or anything like that. They were just two guys that, like most men back then, they knew how to work with their hands. And in addition to music, I have a lot of hobbies that involve working with my hands. I'm a car mechanic and carpenter and that kind of stuff. So I just really thought it was a cool story, and
I love this story.
yeah, it made a pretty cool song. It's called Between Heaven and the Ground. Well, 8 days shy of Christmas, 19 and all 3. on the coast of Carolina. My brother and me, well, we stood atop the sand hills by the Albemarle Sound, with a mind to sail across the open sky between heaven and the ground. Well, we hail from Ohio, working men of modest means. Folks said that we were crazy, fooling with flying machines. They said, remember poor old Icarus, how he came crashing down. God would have gave men wings if they belonged between heaven and the ground. But when I close my eyes each night, the vision is the same. I see a sleek machine take flight, and I hear the clouds whisper my name. Those that doubt our intentions, they will never understand how it feels to burn with passion and to build a dream with your hands, your own hands. Oh, dream with your own. Blew off the water as on the hill we stood, next to our winged invention, made of wire, cloth, and wood. My brother cranked the engine, and my heart began to pound. I climbed aboard and set a course between heaven and the ground. And if I lived 1,000 lifetimes, would not forget the day that I rose up into the cool morning air and I watched the earth fall away. There above the sand hills, by the Albemarle Sound, two boys from Ohio touched the sky. Between heaven and the ground, it would prove that day that dreams can fly between heaven and ground.
Okay, so that song was another grand prize runner-up, and Roy said about that song that he enjoyed this melody a lot. And the feel of the song is amazing. And Between Heaven and the Ground is a great hook. The melody is simple, pleasant to listen to, and married well to the lyric. You can hear someone singing this around the campfire at Kerrville or sitting on a stool in a club. So it's a wonderful song. It's my favorite. I like that.
Well, thank you very much. A lot of people really seem to enjoy that. So it's fun to play. It's got some pretty strange chord voicings in it. So there's a lot going on with the right hand in that song.
Well, I saw you were doing a little funny thing. I saw you were doing a little funny thing too with that capo. You had just a few strings
Yeah, it's
with that
it's,
capo?
it's called a partial capo or a cut
Uh-huh.
capo. So it only holds down certain strings. And occasionally I'll use two capo. I'll use a regular capo and then move the cut capo up. So people are always like, I've never seen anybody use two capos before.
And that's a little tricky, but it sure is
Yeah,
good
it's
results.
kind of
Good
cool.
results for sure.
Yeah, it makes for some really pretty chords. So.
It does for sure. So do you ever co-write?
You know, some. I don't do it well because I don't know. I think for me, songwriting is more of a solitary activity. I've always wanted to, and I have done it, but usually the co-writing I do is more swapping back and forth with another songwriter. Like they may start something and send it to me, and I'll send it back. I've never done the thing where we actually sit down in a room together and co-write. But, you know, I'm always open to that. It's just, it's never seemed to really work out where I had the opportunity to sit across from someone like that. So, but
Well-
I find that I think, and maybe just because I'm stubborn, but I think somebody's got to be in charge, you know? So I think that's the delicate balance of co-writing. And I envy people that can do that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, I think I'd really rather say it this way. So,
Yeah. Well, there's a few people like that too, and then there's people who co-write all over the place.
all the
So,
time. Yeah.
and sometimes it can be like you say, intimidating to co-write with somebody else because of the relationship thing. And you got to get to know somebody before you can really open up and tell them what you think.
Absolutely.
You don't hurt their feelings or whatever. No, I don't like that line. It sucks or whatever.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, songwriting is so personal that you really can, you can envision a situation where you could have some hurt feelings. And so that's what I mean. Like,
Well, you're doing pretty good, darn good by yourself with that solo career there. So,
well, thanks. Well, I co-wrote a few things with Mike Roth. So,
and that's a toughie.
yeah. That's
He's
tough
a
competition.
good lyricist too. He's got some.
He really is. Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you got next for us?
Well, let me do. I was talking about story songs before. My wife is from a small town in Tennessee, and I wrote this song kind of with her in mind, just kind of based loosely on her experience and based a little bit loosely on mine, growing up in Oklahoma. But since we live here in Northern Virginia, it's set in Northern Virginia, and the main artery that runs through Northern Virginia on its way to Washington, D.C. is 66 East. It's kind of the same way I-35 would be the main artery for Oklahoma and Texas. This is called 66 East to Washington. Sign says 66 East to Washington. All I'd have to do is make a right. I could turn the wheel and I could turn the page. I could start a new life tonight. If I make my way into that exit lane, well, I'm not sure what I do. When I take 66 East to Washington, or turn around and come home. We'll spend our days trying to make ends meet in this small Virginia town. You cut ladies' hair and I fix people's cars. One seems to always be broke down. And it's honest work and it pays the bills, but I wake at night thinking there's more to life than a dead-end job in a town with 2 stoplights. There's always 66 East to Washington. All I'd have to do is make a right. I could turn the wheel and I could turn the page. I could start a new life tonight. If I make my way into that exit lane, well, I'm not sure what I'd do. Would I take 66 East to Washington, or turn around and come home? Oh, and there's highways running both ways. both sides of our town. I sit beneath the stars and I watch the cars and I wonder where they're all bound. You know, and packing up and leaving home, it's easy on TV, but in my real life I've got a job and a wife, and both of them depend on me. You know, sometimes at night I sleep and I dream I'm falling to the cold black air of space. And I wake up when I hit bottom and I realize I'm still in this place. Why can't I find the guts to get behind the wheel and leave this sad old town behind? Head for the bright lights of Washington, who knows what I might find. On that day I'll take 66 east to Washington. All I'll have to do is make a right. I'll turn the wheel and I'll turn the page and start a brand new life that night. And if I make my way into that exit lane, I know just what I'll do. I'll take 66 east to Washington and I'll start my life anew.
So what's your favorite Jackson Browne song?
My favorite Jackson Browne song is probably Late for the Sky.
I don't think I remember that one.
Yeah, it's a really pretty song.
Oh.
And David Lindley, who played guitar or
wow.
lap steel and all that stuff for Jackson Browne for all those years, just passed away recently. And
Yeah.
he plays it's a beautiful part in Late for the Sky.
He's a great player. Man, I love Jackson Browne too. I just don't remember that song. So what you got next for us?
How much time we got? So
Well, we're running down. Maybe we can work in a couple songs.
a couple more? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well. This is another one. This is one that I wrote for my mom. My mom passed away in 2005, and I wanted to write something that was worthy of her memory. This is on the At Home in the Darkness album. This is called Darkness Falls. Day surrenders to the shadows, night wraps me in its indigo embrace. Spirits of your love and laughter haunt the crumbling walls of this old place. Well, I hear your gentle whisper in the plaster and the wood. Dusty shelves and empty rooms remind me that you're gone for good. So I lay me down to sleep with ghosts and memories as darkness falls. Well, you reached into a crowded heart and you gave me all the love that you could find. And your arms were always open, even with a world of worry on your mind. I was just a boy back then, nowhere near a man. The burdens of a mother on her own, well, I did not understand. Oh, but the sadness in your smile makes sense to me now as darkness falls. And thunder shakes a rusty roof of tin, where the clapboard trembles in the wind. Rivers rise and red dirt turns to mud, and more I fear I'll be taken by the flood when darkness falls. Darkness falls. When darkness falls. Well, I try to find the rhythm in the days, but nothing's been the same since we stood out in the prairie wind and we prayed beside a stone that bears your name. Oh, and with Hail Mary full of grace we said our last goodbyes and we laid you down to sleep beneath the Oklahoma sky. Now the star that used to guide my way is gone. Darkness falls. You said God's eyes stay open every day, but I know He must have closed them tight when He took you away. Rivers rise and red dirt turns to mud, and more I fear I'll be taken by the flood when darkness falls.
So what's that chord you use on More and More I Feel?
That would be a, let's see.
A diminished or?
So let me think about this for a second. So it would be a B flat if it was not capoed up. So I'd defer to your music theory expertise. 2 up from B flat, and then it goes to an A. So
it's just kind of a passing
yeah,
really
yeah,
right through there.
But it's a really interesting change
but
there. Yeah.
It's kind of a diminished. It has a color to it that really matches the lyric.
Yeah. It's a cool change. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, what do you got for us to end the program?
Well, I will do. I play all my sad stuff, so I'll play. This is moderately happy.
I'd love to hear the songs that you and Michael wrote because he writes sad songs too.
Yeah.
Like
well, this
double sad.
It was about homelessness in Seattle, so it's called The Streets of Seattle.
No.
This is just a love song that's based on a bunch of different sort of character ideas and it's about a Cuban girl and it's called Emilita. An autumn breeze whispered in my window, soft as a morning dove's cry. And I thought about the way your hair brushed against my face the morning you gave me that last kiss goodbye. I still wonder where you are and what you're doing. You still come to me in midnight motel dreams. We raced each other down the road to ruin. I crashed and burned, you got away clean. Emilita, the colors bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way, and I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone that hasn't loved you, they could never understand. Had a mariposa tattoo on your shoulder and a nickel-plated pistol in your drawer. You were wiser and just a little older, and you put your hooks in me like nobody had before. Emilita, the colors bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way, and I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone that hasn't loved you, they could never understand. In that little room at the top of the stairs where we dance to those Cuban songs, music would play and your body would sway, and I knew even then it was too good to last for too long. Too good to last for long. Oh, Emilita, the colors bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way, and I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone that hasn't loved you, they could never understand. Anyone that hasn't loved you, they could never understand. Anyone that hasn't loved you, they could never understand. All right.
Well, that was wonderful. For those of you out there listening, you can find Mike's music on his website, MikePRyanMusic.com, where you can find tracks on all three of his albums. His latest album, Ghosts and Memories, you can sample those tracks out there. And we've been listening to the Dallas Songwriters Association Spotlight, and with Mike P. Ryan tonight, our runner-up grand prize winner of the 2022 Dallas Songwriters Association Song Contest. I want to thank Harry for behind the scenes for being our director tonight, and Bill for managing us over there on Facebook. And thank you all so much for watching. And we'll be back next month with another great performer. Thank you so much. So long. Bye-bye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it very much.